Hi, I'm Amy. This is House of Nash Eats, and today we are making better than Panera broccoli cheese soup. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do to start making our broccoli cheese soup is we're going to chop an onion. And we're only going to need about half of a medium onion. So I'm just going to cut that in half and set that to the side. And then I cut off the tip and peel off the paper, and then we'll chop our onion. And I'll show you how I do that, which I feel like I use onions all the time and I show this in lots of videos, but who knows, if this is your first time here, welcome. This is how I chop an onion. So I'm going to slice it kind of at an angle, not straight up and down. And that makes it so you get more even pieces of onion. And just go all the way around, kind of at an angle, and slice it once, halfway through, and then just all the way down. And this gives you a nice even dice on your onion, and it's as simple as that. And no tears either. Okay, so I'm gonna transfer this onion to a bowl, and then we'll grate the carrot. We need about a cup of grated carrot. So I've got 2 carrots here, and that'll be fine. I mean, your measurements don't have to be super precise when you're doing soup. So I'm just going to grate my carrot. And a fun fact, carrots are my least favorite food. There aren't many foods that I really don't like. Carrots are one of them. But I'm totally fine with them when they're in soup or things like that. Just don't ask me to eat them roasted or raw. So now I'm going to put this in a bowl. And you guys should tell me in the comments below, what's one food that you just can't stand? Mine is carrots. I want to know yours. Okay, and the last thing I need to prep today is my cheese. So I've got some sharp cheddar cheese, and I really prefer using sharp cheddar that's freshly grated. Not only will it melt better, but it gives a better flavor than Velveeta, which a lot of people use for their broccoli cheese soup, which is totally fine. If you want to use Velveeta, go for it. It's super creamy and it melts really well. But honestly, this sharp cheddar cheese, if you use freshly grated cheese, melts super well into this soup. It's really delicious. It's my favorite, so that's what I use. But I would not recommend using pre-packaged, like pre-shredded cheese. That stuff is usually coated in like a powder so it doesn't stick as well together, so it doesn't stick together like in the packaging. And that makes it so it doesn't melt as well in a lot of things. That stuff is great for like adding to tacos or whatever, where it doesn't matter that your cheese needs to melt. But for something like a soup, I definitely say freshly grated is the way to go. Maybe even have like a cheese grater that'll do it faster than doing it the old-fashioned way like I'm doing today. Okay, that's about 8 ounces, or about 2 to 3 cups, like 2.5 cups of grated cheese right here. And there's a link below to the printable recipe that you can print out and follow along. So now we're gonna start cooking our soup. So I've got 1 tablespoon of salted butter here. I'm gonna put this into our large pot over kind of medium-high heat, and we'll let that melt. Okay, once your butter has melted, go ahead and add that chopped onion. And we're going to cook the onion for about 5 minutes, just until the onion starts to soften. Okay, and once those onions have started to soften and maybe even slightly caramelized a little bit, we're gonna take them out of the pot and just put them back into their bowl for right now. Okay, so now to the same pot, we're going to add the rest of our butter, and it's 1/4 cup of butter. We're going to let that melt, and then we're going to whisk in the flour. Okay, so now our butter is melted, so we're going to sprinkle this flour over the melted butter, and we're going to whisk that in. And what we're doing is we're making what's called a roux, where we're going to actually cook this flour in the melted butter for about 2 minutes, and it's going to thicken and cook the flour so it doesn't have a raw taste. And this is going to provide the base for our soup and thicken our soup just the way I like it. If you want it a little thinner, you can always add a little extra broth later on, but this is how we thicken our soup. So whisk until that's smooth, and it's going to start to bubble a bit. It should cook for about 2 minutes. Okay, so now our roux has cooked for a couple of minutes and I'm going to gradually add in the milk. Or you can use half and half if you want a richer soup. This is whole milk that I'm using. I've even done this with skim milk and it works out just fine. So whisk that in a little bit at a time and it will start to combine and really thicken a lot with that roux. That's why you want to whisk it in gradually so that you don't end up with like lumps in your soup. Okay, and once you've added all of your milk, then go ahead and add the chicken broth. And this is actually just water and better than bouillon, chicken bouillon, that I've used because that's what I had on hand. Okay, and we'll just whisk those together. Okay, once that's all whisked in, we're going to bring our soup to a simmer, or at least that liquid broth base to a simmer, and then we're going to add our veggies. So this has come to a simmer, and now we're just going to add the vegetables. So I've got about 3 cups of broccoli, and these were just broccoli florets from the store, and then I chopped them up a little bit smaller, just so they cook a little more evenly. And so that if I don't blend all of them, I don't have like massive pieces of broccoli in my soup. You can do bigger pieces of broccoli if you prefer. Then I've got the carrot that we grated, which will give a beautiful color to the soup and create some like depth of flavor. And then I've got that onion that we sauteed earlier. So it's a little bit caramelized. Okay, and then we're just going to season this with some kosher salt and a little bit of black pepper. And then I'll stir that all up and we'll cover the soup and let it simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes until all the vegetables are tender and soft. Okay, so our soup has been simmering now for about 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes, and it's really hot. I've stopped and I've stirred it a couple of times along the way. And so now all the veggies are nice and tender. And if you want a really chunky soup, you could serve it just like this. But I actually like to thicken it up a little bit and smooth it out a bit by blending a couple of cups. And if you wanted to blend the whole thing, you could do that too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure about 2 cups of the soup into my blender. And now I'm going to cover this with a towel. You don't want to put your lid on it because there will be a pressure buildup from the heat of the soup. So just cover it with the towel so you don't get splatter and blend it just for 10-15 seconds until it's pretty smooth or however you like it. All right, and then just pour this blended soup back into the pot and scrape all of that in. Okay, and then we're going to reduce the heat to low and we're going to add our grated cheese. So I'm going to add some of it at a time, not just one big clump, because if you add one big clump, you might end up with like clumps of cheese in your soup. If you add just a few handfuls at a time and sprinkle it in and stir it, it will all melt in really beautifully and you'll have a wonderfully creamy, cheesy soup. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep a little bit in reserve to sprinkle on top of each bowl just for a garnish, because it makes it look nice. So we just stir that in until it's smooth, and then your soup is ready to eat. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch from my wooden spoon to my ladle, and this soup is ready to eat. So I'm going to ladle up a nice size serving of my broccoli cheese soup. This is based off of a Panera Bread Copycat that we love. Everybody loves this soup. And this is one that you can enjoy for lunch, dinner. It's great with a sandwich. It's great all by itself. It's such a good soup. And anytime I make this for people, they ask for the recipe. So we've got our soup and I'm just going to sprinkle a little cheese on top just for garnish. All right, so now I'm going to have a taste of this soup and hopefully it's not too hot and I don't burn my tongue. But it smells so good. That's wonderful soup. It's so creamy and has such great flavor and I love the broccoli in it. This is one of my favorite soups on my whole site. I hope you guys love this so much. If you guys love this soup recipe, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments below what soup you'd like to see here next.